Hey everyone, good to see you back. We are going to start with our first fall DIY with this little lantern from Dollar Tree, and we're going to take it apart. So if you find the tabs, there's one like this on either side, so there's two in total. You want to squeeze the side of the lantern, but be more gentle than I was because I actually cracked mine right there. I used a little too much force and it cracked, but it's fine. You won't be able to tell in the end. And then you want to remove the insert right there. And I am going to go ahead and cut the tag off, and then I'm going to remove the handle from the top of the lantern. So I need to copy the insert, so I'm just going to pull it apart, and I'm using a leftover piece of Dollar Tree chopping mat. To help it lay flat, I'm just going to bend it in the opposite direction, and you can see it lays flatter than it did before. And then I'm going to use a little bit of painter's tape just to help it stay in place while I trace around it. And I did just use a regular pencil to do that. I didn't want to use a marker and have anything permanent left on the chopping mat, so a pencil works really great. You'll see when I lift it up that you'll be able to see the form that you traced out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. This was really weird, you guys. So you saw me trace it out and cut it out, right? For some reason, when I went to insert it into the lantern, it was too tall, which I thought was so odd. So you'll end up seeing me cut the bottom of it just straight across. Right now I'm folding it. And I'm showing you where I'm folding it, where I cut the V. You want to go right down the middle of the V, and that's where you want to make your folds. And then I'm just going to go ahead and use a little bit of hot glue to keep it together. The chopping mat does have a matte side and a shiny side. I chose to go with the matte side to show on the outside because it has a little bit of, I don't want to say shimmer, but there's just an effect on the matte side that looks really good with the lantern. Now I'm going to use the same painter's tape to cover up the little LED flame. I don't care if paint gets on some of the white part where the LED flame is, but I just want the flame part to be completely covered and protected from the spray paint. And then I'm going to take these outside, and I gave them a coat of paint with this Rust-Oleum Forged Hammer paint and primer. And I really like this can because you can spray it at any angle. Just make sure you get something that works with plastic, and this is an antique pewter, and this is how it turned out. I really like this spray paint for trying to make non-metal items look like metal. So I'm going to go ahead and reassemble the top of the lantern, the handle and the top. And then, I mean, look at that. That looks like it's metal. Now I'm going to take burnt umber from Saran Coat, and using a Q-tip, I'm just going to go around the edges and give this a little bit of a rust effect. And I'm going to do that to the top of the lantern as well, and the handle. So after it dries, this is what it looks like. And I'm just bringing you in closer so you can see. I'm ready to put the insert back in, but like I was telling you guys before, I don't know what happened. As you can see, I have pushed it down as far as it can go, and look at that. You can still see that little space there. So I just decided to take the insert out, and I'm just going to cut that bottom off. I'm just going to make it go straight across, being very careful not to cut too much off because then I don't want it to show from the top, and that worked. So when I did my second one, I just cut it straight across. Now I'm going to reassemble the whole lantern, and this is what it looks like. I decided that I wanted to also add a little bit of twine to the handle, so I just put a dot of hot glue at the beginning where I wanted the twine to start, and I just wound it around and kept it very tight and close to each other, and then a dot of hot glue where I wanted it to end. And I did burn off the little flyaways with a lighter. And I'm taking some raffia. This is the fall colored raffia. It's all 3 colors that come in a pack from Dollar Tree. And I'm just wrapping it around the top and then tying it in a bow. Just a little shoelace bow, and then I'm going to cut off the excess. And that's what it looks like so far. Just adds a bit of fall to it. But I'm going to take the berries from this Dollar Tree pick as well as this little squash from the Dollar Tree pick, and I'm going to add them to the lantern, and I'll show you how I decorated the second lantern later. For our second DIY, I'm going to take these gift card holder tags that I found at the Target dollar spot, and they were $1. There are 6 of them in there. And I'm going to paint the middle of them with pumpkin from Ceramcoat. And I do get my Ceramcoat paints from Target. They are in the craft section. And I also will take maize and crimson from Waverly, and I'm going to give those streaks across so it looks like fall colors. And I make little twine bows to go on all 6 of the little coffee cups to cover up the hole where the gift tag hangers used to be. And I'm going to take a Sharpie. You don't have to use a big one like this. This is just the closest one that I had to me. And I'm going to put PSL on 3 of the cups, and then I'm going to draw pumpkins on the other 3 cups. And now I'm going to hot glue the little jute twine bows over where the little holes were. And that's what they look like. Super cute. I really like the way they came out. So what we're going to do with these is we're going to take this DIY banner that I picked up from Dollar Tree a while ago, and I'm going to take the twine out, and I'm going to loop all of the little pendants onto the twine. It does come with holes, but you have to be careful. I did have to re-glue some of the holes closed, but you kind of go in and out just like that. And then I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue right at the top of the little coffee cups and glue them to the top of each triangle. And I alternate between the coffee cups that say PSL and the coffee cups that have a little pumpkin on it. This would be really great for a coffee bar or in a kitchen area, but I don't have that set up for fall yet. So when I show the end result at the end of the video, I will be hanging it from my fireplace just so you can see how it looks. Our third DIY is going to involve this little gift bag that I found at Dollar Tree that has the gold foil effect, and then 2 of these Dollar Tree framed mirrors. You could use any framed picture. I just really like these frames. And I'm going to use the mirror as a guide to cut out the parts of the gift bag that I want to use. And I really like that the gold foil effect is on both sides of the gift bag. Usually you just get the effect on one side. And I'm going to cut it out and then place the picture into the frame the way that I want it to be. And I really like that the background of this gift bag was black because then I didn't have to paint my frame. I put the mirror in and then I put the backing in. And that's what it looks like. Now I'm going to take some of these DIY stickers. These are wooden stickers that Dollar Tree is currently carrying. And I'm going to take a couple of pumpkins and glue them on. These do have sticky backs, but they're not sticky enough. So I did use a dot of hot glue to glue these to the frame and then to each other. I did decide with the second frame to go ahead and add the pumpkins on the opposite side. But you will need hot glue. These little sticky backs on these stickers are not sticky enough. And that's what they look like together. Okay guys, our fourth DIY, we're going to make some sock pumpkins. And I can't remember when I picked these up from Dollar Tree, but it was a while ago. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off a part of the foot of the sock. And I'm going to take regular needle and thread. This is just black thread. And I'm going to go in and out of the top of the sock, just like you see me doing there. I did it a little backwards. I would recommend if you do this that you go ahead and fill it up first and then do this part. It works either way, but if you fill it up first, you have a wider opening to pour your filling in. And because I am doing keto, guys, I have lots of rice around that I can't have. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this up with rice. And using rice gives it a nice kind of hand feel. It almost feels like those stress reliever balls. And it also makes a great weight if you're having a party and you want to have balloons, or you will see how I use these as a weight at the end when I show you all the projects together. But you want to fill it up until it is nice and plump, and then you want to squeeze the top together. And you want to squeeze it down as close to the rice filling as possible. And then I'm just going to go in and out with my thread and needle, just like you see me doing there, to sew that shut. I was a fashion major at my first college, and one of my instructors she used to always shake her head when it came to me because I would always have accidents with the industrial serger. It was just not my friend. So that was many moons ago. I'm not the best sewer, so you don't have to be either. This just takes really basic skills. And honestly, if you wanted to just use hot glue, you could do this with hot glue as well. You would just insert the hot glue on the inside of the sock and squeeze it together. This part here, I'm just showing you how I made the little sections of the pumpkin. I think it's easier for you to watch how I do it than for me to try to explain how I'm doing it. But at first, I only left it in 4 sections, and then I decided that I didn't really like that. I thought it needed more sections, so you will see me add a couple more. Right now, I'm taking a little bit of jute twine and I'm going to wrap it around the rest of the top of the sock, and that's going to become the stem for the pumpkin. And this is a really helpful method for those of you who weren't able to get the wood stems from Dollar Tree when they had them, or if you don't feel comfortable bringing wood from the outside inside, you can just go ahead and wrap it with the jute twine, and that will become your stem. And I'm putting a little bit of hot glue on the end of it so it doesn't come unraveled once I cut it from the rest of the spool of twine. And of course you want to be super careful because it's very easy to burn yourself on this part. And that's what we have so far. But like I said, I wasn't really happy with just having 4 sections of the pumpkin. I think it looks better with 8. So I'm just going to put more thread on the same needle. This is a pretty big needle that I chose to just because it would be easier to work with. And as you can see, I'm putting it through the bottom of the stem and just adding those sections to the pumpkin. And you want to be sure to pull as tautly as you can because that's what's going to make those sections really pop. This is the only part that you would need the needle and thread for. The hot glue isn't really going to get it for this one. And so I just hot glued the end of the thread there, and I think that looks much better having the 8 sections instead of 4. Now I'm going to take this leaf off this Dollar Tree pick and I'm going to cut off. I basically cut it in half, and then I'm just going to use that part right there as the leaf for this little pumpkin, and I think it is so adorable. Now I'm going to make another one, but this one I decided I wanted it to be a little bit more rustic than the first one. So I'm actually going to use the inside out of the same sock. But first I need to seal this part closed. Then I want to cut it off at the length that I want it to be. I'm going to turn it inside out. And look at that little fuzziness. I think that's so cute for a pumpkin. And I'm just going to repeat the steps that I did for the first pumpkin. So you guys leave me a comment below and let me know which one is your favorite. Do you like this rustic pumpkin better, or do you like the first one I made better, the smooth one, the more refined one? I think I'm kind of partial to this rustic one. I think it's so unusual looking. I like the fuzziness of the inside out of the sock. And I think it's just a good idea. It gives you use one item and you get 2 different looks from the same thing. And I'm going to use the same leftover little piece of leaf on this pumpkin. All right, we are finally ready for our final DIY. I'm going to take this coaster from Dollar Tree and these large craft sticks from Dollar Tree, and I'm basically going to hot glue 5 of the craft sticks to each side. And then I'm going to glue 2 craft sticks going across each side to form an X like you would find on a barn door. Now, I was making this up as I went along. Had I known what I was going to make, I would have painted this from the beginning. You'll see my struggle in a little bit. That's what I'm going to do to the other 2 sides as I make this planter. So if you're going to stain it or paint it, I would recommend doing it before you put it together. But like I said, I was just kind of making this up as I went. I'm adding the strips of craft stick across the top and bottom. Now I'm going to take hazelnut from Waverly and I'm going to give the whole thing a coat of paint. I did want this to have a rustic feel, so I took burnt umber from Ceram Coat on a wider foam brush, and I just made brushing motions up and down each side of the planter to help give it an aged effect. And these are all of our projects on my mantle. There's our more rustic sock pumpkin. Here's one of our lanterns, and I think it looks much better with the clear chopping mat. And here's one of our framed gift bag pictures with the apple and the pumpkin, the leaves and the gold. And of course I had to accessorize with the salt and pepper shakers from Dollar Tree. And here you get a better look of how the planter turned out, and I'm really happy with the way that it came together. I did put some florals in from Dollar Tree. These are all florals from the fall collection for Dollar Tree, as well as that big squash right there. Really happy with the way that that turned out. And here's our other framed gift bag picture. And next to that is the other little lantern that we remade. And I can't tell you how happy I am with how these came out. And here's our more chic and refined pumpkin. You guys don't forget to tell me in the comments which one is your favorite. And as I said before, I had to show you guys how this banner turned out for our pumpkin spice lattes. And I think it's so adorable. I can't wait to put it over my coffee bar once it's done for fall. And this is all the projects together. Thank you guys so much for spending this time with me. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe for more of my DIYs. Thank you guys so much for your love and support. It does mean the world. I thank you so much for joining me today. I can't wait to see you in my next video. Until then, everyone, take care. Have a wonderful, beautiful, blessed week. Bye.